Hello and welcome back, ladies and gents. It's been a while since the Premier Endurance League has been in racing action, and tonight the Temple of Speed is on offer. Home of the Ferrari, based in Italy. Who is going to be able to get the power down here tonight? Who is going to fuel save? And who is going to have tyres under them as we run throughout tonight's proceedings? Qualifying's already in the books. 2 hours worth of racing action for your limited grid. And Scotty Rankin and JP on the call at the moment. Qualifying's in the books. We'll get you your gridding order here in just a few moments. But pole position's been taken out by 0.3 of a second tonight. One of the bigger margins that we've had in recent memory. And the driver that's managed to put it on pole is none other than Owen Coleman. Behind the wheel of the Acura, he's put that one onto pole. Ben Jeffrey will line up alongside of him on the front row. Trent Allen and Jake Slade on row number 2. Harry Inwood and Matt Carrig puts one of the... I believe Harry's actually been moved up to the elite class since the last grading point, so he sits inside the top 5. James Mason and Dan Piper also inside of the top 10. Final 2 cars inside our top 10. Our first of our challenges, Jeremy Greentree and Alfonso Latella. Outside the 10, Richard Mayer, Nick Bottrell, Kurt Chapman, and Jaden Wilcox will make up row number 7. Row number 8 is going to be that of Jamie Saxon, who will be offside alongside of Adam Burhop for 15th and 16th on the grid. Daniel Magri from Nick Miller makes it 18th. Isaac Curtis and Rick Provenzali are your top 20. Isaac Norman and Brad Coates, 21st and 22nd. Benjamin Brooks and Jimmy Middleton are going to be out of 23rd and 24th. End the line penalty for Jimmy Middleton for a car swap for him, so he'll move to the tail end of the field. Sean Benici and Greg Heaney. Andrew Dutch out of 27th. Matt Webber out of 28th. Mark Foster and Brent Johnson 30th. Getting through towards the back end of our always large grid, Kurt Normanson out of 31st. Joshua Swain. Chris Withers. And in behind him, Jesse McMenamin, Chris Ruddle, and Trent Stapleton at 36th. 37th, 38th is going to be Nathaniel Coburn and Bobby Camo. 39th and 40th is going to be Dale Atkins and Stefan Mellis. 41st and 42nd, Daryl O'Sullivan and Greg Goodfellow, the last of the drivers to set a lap time. Leith McClymont and Jesse Butler failed to set a lap time in qualifying trim. They'll be at the end of the line. Also, don't forget, Jimmy Middleton will slide all the way back down there. So actually, I think he's been into pit lane, so he'll just start the race from pit lane, which will also serve the same issue. So, here we go. Race start just around the corner, JP. And it's been a while since this series has already been to Monza in the past, but it's been a long, long time since we've been here.
Yeah, it definitely has, and it's been sort of a whole month since we started off and kicked off round number 2, so it's going to be interesting to see who can get through turn 1. Because let's face it, they all don't normally, so there we go.
That's the big thing of Monza, isn't it? You've got to survive the first turn at Monza. Righto, we are getting set for a race start. Owen Coleman has control of the field and the Acura. He'll be on drivers right. To his left will be Ben Jeffrey. Jeffrey did not quite get the getaway that he was looking for, but the Mercedes power is looking for that launch. Top 4, all 4 different manufacturers. Harry Inwood, the first of the double-ups in the next to the Mercedes, and Matt Carrig also in the Acura. So double-ups, the first of them on row number 3 on the field. They all file into turn 1 and 2, and let the checkups begin. Who's able to survive lap number 1? Who is going to go tumbling through the order? The bulk of the field, there is one car that's gone around. It's the first of the Ferraris. I think it is the 747 car of Bobby Camo has been rotated at turn 1. And caught up in that's Nathaniel Coburn. So that will send them tumbling towards the rear end of the field. A few drivers all the way back there.
Yeah, there definitely was. There was a lot of checkups, I can tell you that much. Isaac Curtis has jumped straight back to pit lane as well. Not quite sure what error he had, but Owen Coleman got the start he needed to get. He survived the first chicane, which is always one step into winning the race when you're in here as well at Monza, but he's got to now try and get away. There was a lot of checkups going into turn 1, dude, and it's going to be hard to decipher what was an actual incident and what was just checkups. But I can tell you now, Norman jumped back to pit lane, or Isaac Curtis, sorry, jumped back to pit lane.
And that was a hardware failure. I just went back and watched that one. His run through turn 1, he actually had some sort of hardware failure because his wheel locked hard left. And unfortunately for him, that sort of stuck him where he was. Right. We are off for 2 hours worth of racing. Fuel limitations tonight, 65% as well. So we'll be on 50%. We'll be on that 60%. Should be a two-stopper, but one of the highest throttle percentage laps on the season. Opportunities for fuel saving, not immense, but for this lead group, they'll probably all single file out. The first break in the pack is at Harry Inwood. So top 4 at the moment, starting to dip away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, they're escaping down the road at the moment. Harry Inwood, 1.4 seconds, as you said, been promoted up to elites from Sebring. So for Harry, it's now he's got to try and prove what he can do. Can he make it from there? That's going to be the question. Can he adhere to the pressure of being in the elites? He's sat in the top 5 at the moment as well. So we're going to find out shortly what's going to happen there as well with Harry. But at the moment, it's Owen Coleman leading away from Ben Jeffrey, Trent Allen, Jake Slade and Harry Inwood, Matt Carrick, James Mason, all in behind with Richard Mayer as well.
He's been a big gainer on lap 1. Adam Burhop's managed to pick himself up 4 spots. Isaac Norman's also +4. Benjamin Brook is +5 at this point in time. Andrew Dutch, 27th, was a little bit further back in the field than he necessarily would have liked. Richard Mayer and the Ford in behind him just making a little bit of a mistake as they cut their way through. And I believe that was actually Adam Burhop that was often in the grass on his way through the Lesmos.
Yeah, Jaden Wilcox as well.
Ascari.
Yeah, Jaden Wilcox basically got tunnel vision and followed him through. They are running side by side now through Ascari. Jaden sits in, decides better of it, and turns around and says, nope, not this time, as they continue on here for lap number 2. 1 hour, 56 minutes to go. We're going to find out how the pit stop cycles are going to work here. Welcome in into YouTube chat if you are here as well. Thank you so much. Don't forget, like, subscribe, turn on the bells, no matter what channel you are on. This is going to be thick and fast. It's going to be interesting to see who can survive Monza and who cannot survive Monza. That's going to be the question.
Lap times as the tyres start to come up to temperature. Coleman's going to go ahead and set a 48.293. Monza, one of the few few tracks actually on the calendar where leading is not necessarily the best thing that you can do in this opening stint of the race. But if he can make that margin, and he's out to a 5/10 margin already, Ben Jeffrey's probably already thinking about doing some fuel saving. So the Acura already being chased down by the 2 V8s, second and third.
Yeah, they got some interesting racing going to be happening here as well. We've got packets of groups starting to happen. We've got the front 4. We've got Inwood on his own with a 1.1 gap to Carrick. Mason in behind that. Mason's got a couple of people, Piper and Latella, tucked up right behind him. Then you can see the Adam Burhop gap at the moment. This is a whole pack of cars and suits all the way down to 29th in behind him at the moment. So Burhop's going to be the sort of the cork in the bottle, should we say, as he's got all of these cars bringing in right behind him. It's going to be interesting to see who goes where, who does what. But at the moment, we've got Kurt Chapman leading the Challenger class with Saxon in behind.
Worthwhile noting as well, Owen Coleman already up to 2 race wins on the season, but the problem for him was race 2, where he finished down in 38th spot. Unfortunately for him, losing a ton of points in the process. And a big issue for him, unfortunately. Multiple laps off the lead. And that is why, in terms of our championship standings at this point in time, Trent Allen does in fact lead the way in the Mustang. How about the squabbles on the run down to turn number 1 as well? Kurt Chapman trying to settle himself into 13th spot. Jamie Saxon was the car ahead. It was trying to get elbows out.
Yeah, you can see these guys continuing to fight out here, and I think for Kurt Chapman, he's got to decide what he's got to do with Jamie Saxon in front of him. Is he going to go and put him under pressure? Is he going to want to take the lead this early on? Well, it's all going to be thick and fast, and we're going to find out here. But Kurt, the problem is Kurt's got Isaac Norman in behind him. So Isaac there just wants to try and get through. They're obviously different classes. So if the guys in front, do you really fight the faster guy behind? Do you let him go? Do you not let him go? And that's what we're going to have to try and find out here, I think. It's got to be smart driving from Chapman, because he doesn't want to lose time defending from Norman when Saxon's escaping up the road.
Well, the big thing is he's missed so many apexes in a row, so he is certainly feeling the heat. Tyres will be up to temperature, up to pressure by now. So he doesn't want to overcook them. Track temperature at the moment, 25 degrees Celsius. What are we looking at for our weather? No rain on the horizon here tonight, but air temperature expected to climb inside the next hour or so. It'll be a little bit hotter at the back end of the race. Current sim time just after 3:25 p.m. in the afternoon as well. And as usual, of late, quite a brisk breeze. Actually, you know what? It's actually quite a light breeze, only 6 or 7 kilometers an hour at the moment. Very little blustering and blowing around. Move up here in a change for 6th and 7th position at the moment as James Mason gets to the inside of Matt Carrick, and Carrick obliges and lets that one happen as the two Acuras change hands.
Yeah, we've got Piper tucked in behind as well. He's in the McLaren as they're running round Curva Bassano now. Is Piper going to look at making a move into the second variante, where we're going to find out very, very shortly. He's got the run on him if he can. He just tucks in right behind. Do we think they're going to be looking at making places here, Scotty? Or are they going to think now, right, we're settled here and we've got 10 minutes or 9 minutes on the doors? Saying that, Piper looks like he's going to go and try and go up the inside of Carrick. Nothing doing there at the moment. And for Piper, he's going to have to wait until he can get through both of the Lesmos before he makes the move down into the Ascari, if that is exactly what he's looking to do.
Have a look at the amount of garbage that's on the road down there as well. Kitty Litter is being picked up left, right and centre. First time the pack is being run in a queue, and I can tell you, down about 26, 27 spot, there is a queue of cars all starting to back themselves up. Greg Heaney was the driver that was queuing up. They're all queuing up in behind at the moment. Brent Johnson's going to get his Acura to the inside of the Mercedes. Johnson gets the job done, and Greg Heaney sort of offers him a little bit of support. Again, more garbage on the road in the middle of the Ascari chicane as well. So the opening laps here is everyone scrabbling just to get a rhythm about them. A lot of drivers struggling for a little bit of rhythm at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, car off in the background.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things. Bobby Camo has been off as well. He has come back on the racetrack. There's a couple of others that have had moments as well, but a lot of it is checkups going into turn number 1. But for Brian Johnson, he cleared Heaney, but is Heaney going to look at coming back at him as moves further up with Piper? He's been pressuring over Matt Carrick and has made it through going down into turn number 1. So Carrick again loses another place in exactly the same place, 2 positions in 2 laps at the same corner. He's got to decide what he's got to do, because at the moment he's got Alfonso Latella tucked in right behind him with Burhop at the same time. Burhop's looking racy here. Is he going to look at trying to go? Nope, not this time either. So for Latella, he's giving Carrick something to think about, but that turn 1 seems to be Carrick's Achilles heel at the moment.
So worthwhile jumping back. Bobby Camo is very, very damaged at the moment. Had an issue coming off the second Lesmo, and he's currently just made it back to pit lane, but he was stranded. He basically parked up at the last corner and watched the field go through, but he is now into the pit lane in a very, very damaged Ferrari. That's him after the damage has already been applied, so it's just a little bit before that. But I can tell you that the fast repair has already been burned for 747.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds. Let's see if we can find where he actually went off. Yeah, it was a little bit before
10 seconds before that, yeah.
Yeah, I think here we go for... Not going to quite get me back far enough, I don't think.
My apologies. That's out of the Ascari chicane. My apologies. I thought that was out of the second Lesmo. But effectively, he just got into the second Lesmo, and the rear end of the car was starting to rotate around at him. He went to catch it, and he's just hit the barrier on the left-hand side.
Oh,
that right there is just after.
He's gone and done it, hasn't he? This is a run up through Curva Bassano. We might be able to get it from here to see what he's actually caught himself in here for Bobby. He's just coming through Curva Bassano. We might have to give him about 20 seconds up the road. But that Stefan Melis tucked him right behind him. Not going to be much longer if he's coming up to Lesmo 1 and 2 now for Bobby Camo. And we're going to find out what he got himself into very, very shortly. But it's always the tricky part of Monza, unfortunately, Scotty. That is one of the things that they have to look out for.
Yeah. That's a different lap for Bobby Camo. Anyway, the long and short of it was he got a little bit of a snap of oversteer in the middle of the corner. And there's a bunch of garbage that's going on with heavy contact through the Ascari chicane. Mark Foster was involved, Nick Miller and Sean Benici got together that sort of kicked it all off. And Andrew Dutch actually was diving up the inside of Nick Miller to cause that. That's Dan Magri losing spots, I think, back in live pictures at the moment. You just see again, 152 off the road.
Yeah, the corner exit it seems to be the issue there, I think, for a lot of people. And you see Carrick is now looking like he's might possibly lose another place to Richard Mayer going into the Curva Parabolica at the end of the lap. Is he going to lose his place? It's going to be very, very tight. They're coming out side by side at the moment here. Carrick is on the right-hand side, and you can see behind in that BMW, Richard Mayer is alongside just about here, Scotty, as they're going to fight their way down into turn 1, and it looks like Mayer's got it done again.
Yeah, so Richard Mayer. BMW is known for being quite quick in a straight line. It's the power of the two turbocharged machines. Carrick is going to be forced to drop back in behind him. And Richard Mayer will grab that spot. Carrick's had the issue through turn 1. And how about the pockets being picked? Jaden Wilcox went from being sitting back and watching and spectating to man on the move.
Yeah, he's now just got the job done as well. Poor old Carrick kind of got picked out. But then again, over the last 4 laps, it's about 5 places Carrick's lost. So... yeah, but turn 1 is not doing well for Matt Carrick as every move seems to be coming down into there. Nathaniel Coburn and Darrell O'Sullivan. I'm hoping that they have just checked up going into turn number 1 here, because otherwise they've gone and had contact with each other. Oh.
Touch deep, room given.
Yeah, just about. You can see there.
Well done.
That's going to be the kind of the story of today as well, because, you know, I think turn 1's going to be the primary spot here. I think this is the thing. They are going to be looking at making most of their moves going down into turn 1. We've got Owen Coleman, Jeffrey and Allen fighting it out at the front, Acura, Mercedes and also a Ford. But that turn 1 spot, I think, is going to give everybody the opportunity to make the move. They've just got to facilitate it as best they physically can. And if they can't facilitate it, kind of don't go for it, you know what I mean? I think that's the thing here as well.
Yeah, and the big issue will be for some of those guys that were looking to try and fuel save is if you can't fuel save when you're 3rd or 4th in a pack mega, you've got to fuel save a little bit. Packs are starting to break up. 9th through to 14th is probably the biggest pack we're looking at the moment, or 22nd back to 29th is the other one, and that pack has got Kurt Nommensen at the lead of it at the moment in the Audi. And Dan Magri went into the lane on lap 1. He's was due to start about 17th, but through the lane on lap 1 has driven his way back up to 23rd for Magri.
Oh, Butler's going to make the move. He's going to get it done around the outside for Butler. It's looking like he might, as they're running side by side up through Curva Bassano at the moment. Is he going to get it done? He is going to get it done over Jesse McMinimum. I don't know if McMinimum's going to send it deep into second variante at the moment. He's looking on the outside. Oh, almost got a touch in behind from Withers. Withers managed to hold on. Oh, Butler's over the gravel on the outside, going into Lesmo 1. McMinimum's going to get the job done. Butler done the hard work and couldn't wrap up the easy bit.
He actually didn't need to fight too hard to pull that car up into the second chicane as well. But fight in he did, and unfortunately that's dropped him back in behind. So he did all the hard work, and the problem for the Porsches at the moment, they have not got the poke in a straight line, and all about the top speed here. So we'll see how they develop across the stint. The Ascari chicane's going to be where they really show their speed. And McMenamin wide as they exit Ascari. That'll be a huge impact to the wall as Chris Withers' Acura is facing the wrong direction.
Is that going to be the sausage curb? Yep. He hit that on the way out. And then unfortunately for Withers, you can see it. Watch him bounce it just there. And then unfortunately unsettles the car, and it's just all the way round after that for him. That and the grass on the exit, bang, around he goes. And unfortunately for Withers, it's probably going to be straight back to pit lane. But there has been more drama by the looks of it, as Andrew Dutch has also had an issue. And right at the moment, going down into turn number 1, I think he's probably checked up at the same time here.
And to the inside, gets the job done into turn 1. And then Dutch is going to look for the drive out the other side. So reasonable little move. But opening running of this one, cars having a lot of dramas. By the way, leaders are quickly charging in on lap traffic. Nick Miller's was involved in one of those issues early on through the chicane. He's had to jump to pit lane, grab the fast repair, get his car back out there because it was quite bent. And he finds himself 3 seconds in front of the leaders at the moment. Fastest lap time for Miller, 49.538. Well, he's about a second and a half off the pace compared to Owen Coleman. So Coleman's going to catch him in the next 2 laps or so.
Yeah, it's going to start moving up, unfortunately, for Owen Coleman. He's going to have to play it by ear and decide what he's going to do there. You can see Miller just up the road in the Porsche, and he's got Coleman looming in on him. So we'll find out what goes on with that one. These guys have not stopped battling. James Saxon has just put another place over Matt Carrick. Poor old Carrick is going down the hill faster than he's going up the hill at the moment here, Scotty. He's lost a bunch of places in this opening section of the race.
I just wonder if he just can't get himself into a rhythm, and Saxon's going to try and cover him off on the run out of turn number 1. Covers to the inside. It'll be a long way round for Carrick. Is he going to try and pull off the crisscross? Does certainly get the car pulled up a lot more accurately at 1, but didn't get the drive off of 2. And have a look at the dust on the windscreen for a few of those guys as well. Isaac Norman's windscreen currently looks as if he's been sat in and watching all the action going on in front of him.
I think for these guys, it's going to be something that they're going to see quite a lot. What they don't want to keep happening is that. Because if they keep having that, then that racing line is going to come more and more inwards as the gravel comes more and more outwards. It's going to shrink it right down. And at the moment, and I've seen in previous races and previous broadcasts, you know, once it comes in, the grip and the overtake is very, very minimal. And unfortunately, it's going to be touch and go whether or not you're going to make it, because you can't get on the power early.
Jaden Wilcox just had an issue. Jaden Wilcox just had an issue. So he had an issue coming off the Lesmo, and now Matt Carrick's to his inside. Wilcox was very deep when they got to Ascari. He's going to check him up, and they'll try and go out the other side. Wiggle, and now to the right-hand side. He's going to block him all the way onto the grass. No, Wilcox didn't need to do that.
He's gone and hit them as well.
Kurt Chapman's been involved.
Oh, dude, what was that about?
He had overlap.
Do you know the problem you're going to have with that is it's Carrick's job to come back on the track, and it wasn't. Wilcox didn't kind of effectively have to give him space because it was Carrick's job to come back on the race circuit. But how RC are going to look at that, I don't know, because at the moment you can see Wilcox is on the track, Carrick is not on the track. That's where the problem lies, and any ruling on that one. Wilcox might get a penalty anyway for the fact that he didn't want to go and hold his brakes after the incident and just come shooting across the track. But is it on Carrick to come back onto the track safely? Because at the moment, he's not on the circuit.
My issue with it, there's going to be 3 things. I'm pretty confident Wilcox has held his brakes, because remember, ABS is going to kick in the middle of that one. And prevent the car from locking the brakes down. So there's probably not very much. The big issue is that Wilcox had a wiggle. And the other thing is, once in terms of the rulings around straight lines, once you've got overlap, room's got to be given. And, yeah, Wilcox, you just didn't need to do it. The long and short of it is you don't need to block that hard this early. You made the mistake. You're in, and then you're in deep. Cover. And, well, that's going to happen. So,
yeah, and then poor old Chapman gets bumped as well. I don't know. That's going to be a tough one. I think RC are going to have to look at all angles on that and decide whether or not he's off circuit, on circuit, how it's going to work. Well, we'll leave that to them, Scotty. That's why they're down there and we're up here.
And Jeffrey starting to get run down a little bit as Trent Allen will show the nose to the inside. He'll park it up on the apex though. And Allen just bails out of it a little bit. Starting to lose a tiny bit of touch with Owen Coleman at the moment.
Yeah, they're fighting away. Coleman's about 1.4 seconds up the road here. Isaac Norman, he's chasing down the leader of the challengers in Jamie Saxon. Saxon there leading the way in the challenger class at the moment. So we'll see how he gets on and whether or not he can keep this lead. Of course, he's got Jeremy Greentree now sitting in second, who is up, well, he's actually down 4 places to be blatantly honest, but he's still second in class at the moment. So great job from some of these. Action further down as well. Dale Atkins and Trent Stapleton having a nice little ding-dong further down. They're sitting down in 10th and 11th in class, 27th, 28th. The interesting thing about this though, Scott, is they are down that low, but they both gained 9 and 11 positions respectively, with Leif McClymont gaining 18, Jesse Butler gaining 24 places over the first, 25 minutes.
My lord, they've been on the move, haven't they? So, trying to make their way through the field. I think the biggest thing is keeping themselves out of trouble has been a big beneficiary at the moment. Miniman, yeah, plus 12 is doing a phenomenal job at the moment. Jesse Butler, yeah, 24 spots. I agree. Jesse Butler is going to get into the back of Matt Webber.
He checked it up.
Oh my god. And they all get out the other side somehow. I was expecting that to kick off once again. So Ascari is the site of drama here tonight.
Yeah, Butler there just, unfortunately, poor old Webber got a little bit of a kiss on his bum, should we say. Managed to hold it. Butler managed to check it up in time. The problem is with that is this brought minimum. Heaney, Normanson all in behind them, and these 3 now are going to be fighting out in that challenger class, of course, 5th, 6th and 7th. Butler, Webber, Magri all in the elites. So the front 2 of this pack are not even in the class. The problem is McMinimum, as you say, up 13 now, is looking very, very quick indeed. And he's got the Mercedes of Heaney running down side by side, going into turn number 1. Through he goes. They've got to facilitate it a little bit. Space left. Is there? No! Argy-bargy on the exit.
Door to door. Blows exchange. Remember, Greg Heaney has been on the slide. We were talking about him being overtaken for a position a few down the road not too long ago. So, updates. I do have some updates coming in from race control. 10-second penalty for car 999. 999 Sean Benici has picked up a 10-second penalty. Car 79 is Jesse Meneman for an incident on lap 7. He picked up a warning for that, and Mark Foster has been warned for, I believe, the incident down at the final corner where his steering was already broken at that point in time. So, and waiting for an update. There was another penalty that was just issued, and I just didn't quite catch the drivers that it was issued to at that point in time. So I'll give you another update when I can, JP, on what's going on there.
Yeah. Well, whereas the RC have not had the messages on the screen, I will just make sure that they have got everything they need on that one. And then hopefully we should be able to see them start popping up. But Webber and Butler, Webber's just got through, demoted Butler down, I'll say down 24. You know, back from 25, gained to 24. But they're going to be running side by side in turn number 1.
By the way, they're having a look at that incident from Jaden Wilcox and Matt Carrick at the moment. That's actually where they're up to. So we'll get more of an update for you when that one comes, because I'm really, really curious to see the update on that, because that's got a few implications, I think, for racing moving forward. Right. Right. I mean, so much has happened already. We're already nearly half an hour into this race because it's just ticking on through. So quarter race distance is coming up. Targeting that 40-minute mark will be the big key. Overtake on the run down to turn 1 at the moment.
Something's happened to Kurt Nommensen.
On
Unfortunately, the PC doesn't want to pick up on it, unfortunately, and he goes in deep into turn number 1.
I can tell you had a wiggle in the braking zone. He was in a little bit hot, and then the car just got away from him, so he just took the runoff area at turn 1.
Yeah, Ben Jeffrey there, still with Trent Allen tucked in behind, Dan Piper with Mason and Alfonso Latella. Little free group, then you got Burhop fighting out with Mayer and Norman still with Saxon in behind. So still action taking place here for these guys, and we're going to find out how they get on over the next hour of 32.
Interesting to note as well that the lap times are sort of seen and sort. I think Owen Coleman made a little bit of a mistake on the previous lap. Because they dropped about 0.3 of a second back to the next two. And they are very close to getting back in the tow. A little bit of a mistake, though, on the run of turn 1 for Ben Jeffrey. This might be the best opportunity Trent Allen's likely to get as he gets extremely close. The problem will be the dirty air will be in full effect when they get down to the second chicane down here. And all that time they'd actually just taken out Owen Coleman, they're going to have to pay it back. Here he goes, nose to the inside and back. He's just pestering him at the moment.
Yeah, I think he's just wanting to let him know that he's still there. I think that's the thing. He's just letting him know that, you know, I am still here. I'm not really aggressive to make the move, but if you keep making another mistake like you did, then I'm going to go for it. I think that's the thing. I think he's got to, you know, just make sure he's just keeping him under pressure all the way through and see if Jeffrey does make a mistake. Is it likely to happen? Well, you never know here, but unfortunately for Trent Allen, that's the only way he's looking like he's going to be able to get past him.
Just wait, watch, give yourself the opportunity. The other thing that might happen is if lap traffic gets involved and Brent Johnson's the next car on the road. If you caught a lot of debate midweek that was going on about potential rule changes as well, GP, and it's something I want to point out to viewers, and it's something I said and I'm quite vocal about. The point of this league is sportsmanship and showing sportsmanship. There's 45 cars on track, and something we said back at Bathurst for the first round is it takes a grid recognising that there is 45 cars out on track. Sportsmanship is the big key. Headlight flashing. What's your take on it?
You annoys the blinking hell out of me. I've got to be honest, that is one area that does stress me out because there's no need to do it. They're not, you know, 9 out of 10 times the drivers are not even remotely paying attention to what's going on behind them, right? They know when you're alongside and they'll get the job done. The headlight flashing is just you're trying to put somebody off. But if you're that good, then go and do it on the racetrack. Go and overtake them like you normally would. You don't need headlights to flash them and try and put them off. Just go and have a go. Go and overtake them on the track. It's just something for me that multi-class is a different story. You see it once from a GTP, they're letting the GT3 know that they're coming through. Fine, job done. But like that, you know, he let him know that he was coming through on the back marker. Job's a good one. But in a battle and flashing your headlights continuously, you know, I've seen one guy had it combined to his throttle, so every time he hit the throttle, his headlights were flashing like crazy. You know, and it's just crazy. It's something that I don't feel needs to be done. If you're that good, make the pass on the track. You don't need to flash them to try and overtake them.
It's something I've learned to respect more and more, but it comes back to, okay, what's the reason that we're all here? It is my big thing, and again, we're all in this vein of we're not the best of the best, we're not the biggest and the brightest, so get on with it. Does it need to be used? Yes, I think it's a tool that's in every driver's, but it also needs to be clamped down on. You can't be ridiculous about it as we head toe-to-toe into Parabolica, and it's going to be James Mason trying to go around Daniel Piper. Alfonso Latella's also looking for an opportunity. Half an hour marker now being passed as well. Quarter race distance is in the books. Pit stops will be coming in the near future, but yeah, it irks me because I think a lot of people took it as you can't use it full stop. Well, no, and gets very close on the run down to turn 1 again, is James Mason. He's definitely feeling like he's quicker than Daniel Piper at the moment. Piper's going to run wide at turn 1, so looking for an opportunity. Might have presented itself. But the other key I'll put in the back of your mind is, well, you sounded rattled talking about it, and therein I'd say it worked.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think he's going to get this done, though. 2 secs. He's going to try and go up the inside at the moment, Mason. He has finally got it done over Piper. Piper's now going to leave himself open to Latella to come at him going into Lesmo 1. Is Latella thinking about it? He thought about it. Didn't make the thing. The thing is, for me, it's just it is a tool that can be used in multi-class to tell them that you're there and that you're coming through. Continuous flashing to try and put somebody off.
And that's the difference, is continuous.
Yeah.
Continuous, and that's what they're trying to do. I agree that you're allowed to punch it once, and in actual fact, I'd punch it once a lap, I think is in my book, that's enough. You've made your point, move on with it. And yeah, what that looks like in the correct, and the problem is policing it is the big case where people are that's where people are asking for clarity. And
yeah,
I can see both sides of the argument, but at the end of the day, I'm like, boys, this isn't worth losing your salt. You're throwing the toys out of the cot over is my problem.
But they're drivers, and that's what they do. They need clarity on everything. They need clarity on running wide. They need clarity on track limits. They need clarity on flashing. They need clarity on everything, because then they know where their boundary is of the rules. And this is the thing with drivers. They need to know where their boundaries are, because if they don't know where they are, they will go and do what they feel. And then when somebody pulls them up and says, Latella, a little bit deep, when somebody says you can't do that, they'll go, well, it's not in the rules. And that's the problem. Trying to write a rule book, when I put a lead together, I come up to the RC and I turned around and said, look, I'm going to have 5 rules. They were like, well, what do you mean 5 rules? I was like, basically, don't abuse anybody on voice chat, don't smash into anybody, get out of the way of your blue flags, don't be a complete and utter plonker, and don't die for moves that you're never going to make. They turned around and went, James, you can't have that. I said, why is that?
Yeah,
and
you can't police it.
Yeah, and they sent me a rule book, was 18 pages long. They were like, there you go. I was like, you are kidding. We need all of these rules for people just to not be a plonker. You know what I mean? This is the thing. It's such a fine line between turning it from something of enjoyment to turning something into you might as well run an IRL league, because at certain points it gets to the point it's ridiculous.
Therein's my point as well. Remember, we're amateurs. None of us here are racing for cash at all. Yeah, we're amateurs, and drive to that.
That's the thing. They shouldn't. In hindsight, you shouldn't need a 27-page rule book. Okay,
update. Remember how we were talking about the Matt Carrick and Jaden Wilcox incident? By the way, we're not going to make 40 minutes into this race, so we will have a 3-stopper here tonight, as has been updated by the strategy. Everyone inside the top 5 is in. Daniel Piper has saved enough fuel. He will continue on for the extra lap. Only driver inside the top 10 to do so. Richard Mayer will also follow him. Everyone else inside the top 10 is into the pits. Right, update on the incident. Remember the one between Jaden Wilcox? We're talking about track limits and where the line is. Well, the line has been ruled in favour of Wilcox, saying that Matt Carrick left the track to gain an advantage, and there's a 10-second penalty being assigned. So I see both cases, and yeah,
you're not going to agree, Sky. Do you know why you won't agree?
No.
Because you're a driver.
My point is, I agree and I disagree at the same time. And my only problem with it is that the slide in the middle of the corner. And a driver, you're supposed to, the rule is you're supposed to maintain control at all times. He's effectively forced Magri to go outside the track boundaries. That's my take on it. And that's my read on it. And I'm happy to disagree with race control on that, because that is one of those ones that I think is on the limit. That is a real line ball one, and I don't care which side you fall, because it's one of those ones where everyone's going to see it differently.
You're going to disagree in general, and the reason is you drive, whereas I see it from I don't drive. As far as I'm concerned, he was off the circuit. It's his job to come back on safely, and he didn't. Regardless, it's not up for Wilcox to have to leave room because he's off track. The lift of the throttle would have put him in behind him and he wouldn't have lost minimum time. He was kind of hoping that Wilcox would just bail out, and Wilcox didn't, and he doesn't have to. He's on the grey stuff and Magri's on the outside line. I know what you're saying about pushing him off the side of the circuit and the slide in the middle of the corner, but Magri didn't have to go to the right hand side. There's a whole track to the left. So I kind of see where RC was going.
No. He couldn't have got to the left. That's the difference. There's no way that Magri could have got to the left there. 100%. Magri was either going to the right or going in the back of him or lifting were his three options. There's no way he gets to the left. So, anyway. Difference of opinion on that one, which, again, I like, is the rule of racing. Drivers have managed, some of them have managed to make the end of lap 20. Daniel Piper and Richard Mayer, the only two. And the problem for both of those guys is that still does not get them to 40 minutes into this race. Change back of the race lead as Owen Coleman will go back to the point. Trent Allen and Ben Jeffrey have finally resolved this squabble in favour of Trent Allen. And now it will be Trent Allen's prerogative to make sure that he can make good of the track position that he earned.
Yeah, good fella may have had something to do with that. Because he was unfortunately there at the same point and he had to send them free wide, and that is how that happened, because I think Goodfella may have had something. If we have a look back at it now, and you can see Goodfella is in there, and unfortunately there's the checkup, and then that just leaves him open for the run from Trent Allen, and you can see Goodfella's all the way over, but it's already done, and it was done early in the corner, because if you watch here for Jeffrey, he has to check up there, and that is where the Allen overspeed then came in from it. It wasn't Goodfella's fault. He was as far left as he possibly can go, but that's where the overspeed come from Trent Allen, and he just makes it through. It was the check up in the middle of the corner behind Goodfella that caused the problem.
Okay, so
losers lift. Yeah, it's easy. You lift, says Gled Jones. Yeah, you do. But
not necessarily.
This is the thing, dude. It's easy. You lift and survive, or you do that. And I've seen it multiple times in road. I've seen it multiple times in NASCAR, and it's just one of them things. It's just literally one of them things.
For the same space. Yeah,
it's a really difficult one, Scotty, even for me and you. You know, we're never going to kind of sit here and agree, because at the end of the day, we both see different angles of it. And I think it's just one of them things. You know, many times I've been run over in NASCAR, because that's primarily what I do drive if I do. And you sit back and go, why didn't you just lift? And they go, well, it's not my job to lift. Well, it is, because now we're both in the blinking pit lane. What's the point in that? And there you go. Unfortunately, they've just had an incident as well, and Latella has just gone round at the hands, I believe it was Mason, who has just sent him round there. And again, is this something that we're going to sit back and look at and decide, should have Mason have lifted out of it? Should there have been more room? Who knows? But unfortunately for Latella, he's losing 4 spots and is now in behind Piper on that one, Scotty.
Have a look at the front bumper from Alfonso Latella now as well. Damage that he'll have to contend with for the remainder of the race. So he'll keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, I love Glenn Jones's response to losers lift. Low, unless you get a 10-second penalty because you refuse to. Well, that's how it's worked out. And now it'll be up to seeing what Magri can do if he's going to look at coming back through. At the moment, he's sitting in 17th place here as well with Dan Magri. So moving on that, that's Kurt Chapman in front of him. Of course, Chapman's sitting 3rd in class at the moment, and Provenzali's sneaked his way up like a little ninja he is at the moment. He's sneaked his way up the order and is sitting in 14th place for Ricky Provenzali. And again, he's another man that's gained positions, up 6 with Andrew Dutch behind him, who is up 12. So both gains from them. Net code, yeah, maybe a little bit. It was always going to happen. I think that's the problem.
we're always going to connect. Yeah, I agree. So, run out of turn number 1 at the moment, James Mason and Adam Burhop leaning on each other just a little bit. Burhop will get the nose ahead. That's going to check the whole pack up. This will bring them all back to Richard Mayer and Daniel Piper. Remember, those were the 2 drivers that went long. And again, they're using every little bit of the opportunity for Daniel Piper and Richard Mayer to try and save some fuel.
Yeah, they are at the moment. If they can, that would be ideal, but we'll have to find out whether or not that's going to be a possibility. They lasted about, what was it, lap 19? So 4 laps ago, which would have given us round about nearly on the half-hour mark, just about. But it's going to be finding out whether or not who's going to be able to go 2 hours. They're going to be close at the end, Scotty. I think that's the thing. They've got to, what I would primarily do is run out stint 1, run out stint 2, and then try and save 3, just in case where I am. But, yeah, I don't know if it always works. But then again, I'm rubbish at fuel saving, Scotty, so I don't really get involved in that. I just normally run the tank out and hope for the best.
So, meantime, lap 23, an hour and 17 minutes on the clock. As more lap traffic are jumping out of the way, and this will be Richard Mayer, who's going to try and slice to the inside of James Mason now at Parabolica. Gets to the inside, won't get the drive off, and that will allow the crisscross for Daniel Piper, who's going to get to the inside. Where do you offer the draft, though, down the main straight? And it's going to go in the favour of Richard Mayer at the moment as they pull even as they head onto the gantry. Another run of turn 1, braking about the 150 marker. Piper opts to lift and slot back in.
There you go. Prime example of what you can do to make sure that you survive for another lap, and Piper has basically just done that. We've got Green Tree, he's tucked in behind Saxon. This is a battle for the Challenger class at the moment, and Green Tree is leading the way, chasing down Saxon, who is just up the road. So Saxon is going to have a nice old face full of Jeremy Greentree's McLaren very, very shortly, as the back marker there down in 42nd. That is Matt Carrick, clears the way at the same time. So there we go. But at the moment, Greentree putting Saxon under pressure.
Race starting to settle back down again. But,
oh, Jeffrey's back to pit lane.
Right. 10 Magri's actually in pit lane as well. As force Ben Jeffrey
Straight
to
back
jump
to
back to pit lane.
Whoa.
Is that a hard failure? He's got no steering. Is this? I think his throttle's stuck on.
Let's try and see if we can get inside.
Yeah, his throttle's stuck.
Well, doesn't matter, whatever it was, it's caused a problem, and it sent him straight back to pit lane there. Richard Mayer, James Mason running side by side as well. So great action here. Mason, I think there's a back marker they're trying to clear on the left-hand side. No, that's actually, yeah, it was Nick Bottrell. Why is Mason losing so much time? That's a slowdown penalty if I've ever seen one before.
Actually, there's more replays that we probably need to have a look at. Is that Richard Mayer just got turned by, I think it's going to be James Mason coming off a Parabolica right there. So
is that the overtake that they've just done?
Yeah. So it's already happened at that point, I think. Yeah, so there's Richard Mayer. So he's just given the spot back. So he's actually redressed it. But you can see Richard Mayer's massively off the pace right there. And it was actually an attempt at a redress. This will tell the story a lot better.
Whoa, there we go. And then pushes him back round the right way.
Odd one. Very, very odd. But that's lost them both.
It looked a little bit weird, I've got to be honest. Did definitely look a little bit weird.
I wonder whether or not James Mason thought he was clear. It was a hole for him to feed into there, but anyway. We are amateur racers, which is the point I was making before.
Mm-hmm. This is the thing. The Saxon now on the right-hand side has got, that's Latella he's just cleared. Isaac Norman has just cleared Latella. Saxon looks like he's possibly going to try and do the same thing through Lesmo 2. Coming out now. Through the final corner, sorry, actually. Through Parabolica. And is Saxon going to get him here going down into turn number 1?
Five-second penalty, actually, for James Mason. And the reason it was only 5 seconds, a redress was included as a part of that. But race control still deemed it cost 55 more than what a redress gave him back. So, yeah, redress reduced the penalty, but it did not cleanse the sentence. Is probably the best way to talk about that one, which brings race control up to live in terms of their incident reviews at the moment as well.
These guys continuing out here. Saxon, Greentree, Latella, Provenzali and Dutch all continuing to have a nice little mid-race battle before they go into the final hour where it's all gloves off and all going for it. So we're going to find out how they get on and what takes shape.
Did you say race car drivers drive around with their gloves on?
Well, it's all gloves off in it when you're in the final hour, but Provenzali got it wrong there. Latella's going to try and go alongside him.
And in actual fact, that's actually James Mason who made a mistake coming out of the Ascari chicane. And Nick Bottrell and Isaac Norman both jumped through and get ahead of him, although Bottrell is actually off the lead lap at the moment. This is just an awkward race. Mason's struggling, I think, since that contact with Mayer. There is a touch of damage on his front right corner. It's only a touch. I cannot get over the front end of Alfonso Latella.
Yeah, Latella there, still in behind. There's a little bit of a check-up situation going on up in front. Mason with Greentree with Norman. Greentree again, sticking his nose up the inside of Norman. They're going to try and take this free wide, I think. This is either going to work or it's all going to go wrong. Mason's on the inside on the left. Now coming into the second variante. Is he going to... Oh!
Gets there.
Just.
Got him back.
Just about got there.
And Greentree slots in behind. Once more outside the top 10. Rick Provenzali is actually in there and amongst that fight at the moment. And in fact, we actually need to drop back and have a look at that because at the moment, Greentree's trying to hang on to a spot. Andrew Dutch is doing his best NASCAR impersonation as he tries to bump draft to the crisscross. Provenzali got to the right-hand side of the track, got elbowed out of the way, and now he's going to go deep into the Ascari chicane. Here comes Dutch. Is Dutch going to try and go for the crisscross, get the drive out? Can't do it. Propped up in the middle of the Ascari chicane and jumped down. Oh! Is that Matt Carrick? It is. That's Matt Carrick again for the second time tonight. In the exact same spot.
Oh, Bobby, where you going? Oh. Ouch. Unfortunately for Bobby Camo. Oh, bro, he's going to be done for that. But did he bounce the exit curb again?
Yeah.
Yep, look at that. Wow. Bang. He's on his brakes. Can't stop it once he's come off the barrier. He's going to cop a penalty, but he couldn't do nothing once he come off that barrier.
Well, you hit the sausage curb. Safety car's been deployed as a result, but the lead group have already gone through. Everyone else is diving into pit lane right now. And
there he is.
The safety car's sitting at the end of pit lane. It's just waiting because he's going to pick up the race leader. Race leader is currently in the Ascari chicane at Owen Coleman. We'll dive to the lane. Be interesting to see how many drivers elect to take tyres at the halfway marker or just a touch before. It's probably the best opportunity they're going to get.
Yeah. I think personally, if they're on a strategy with a minute, hour 8 to go, and they can only go roughly 30 minutes, give or take, would you go in to top up to extend that 30 minutes to give you 20 minutes to go?
No, track position's too important.
Yeah, I think this is the thing. I think a lot of people are going to have to make a decision. Well, there you go. That answers that one. So now...
Okay. So what I mean is, if you're going in to top up, but if you're pitting 100%, a free pit stop right here is too good. And well, Inwards decided it's not. Trent Allen's also decided that's a mistake. That's a mistake from both of those guys. The free pit stop is too good to pass up.
Well, Allen, Slade, Inwood, Burhot, Piper, all have decided otherwise, Scotty.
That's the wrong call.
Okay.
100% the wrong call. So it'll be a one-stop home for everybody here from this point in time. But the problem is, for the guys that are in front, they've got a lot more fuel to add, and as opposed to the guys that have, the problem is your gain is not going to cover off the amount of fuel you've still got to drop. Now, if you're 20th spot and you take a pit, you elect to stay out here, that's the drivers that will make gains. The drivers that were very close to the front, they don't gain anything. They only gain 1 or 2 spots, and then they're going to lose it all back in a pit stop. So,
yeah.
The problem is, Rick Provenzali was 12th, I think, just prior to that, and he's the last driver to get through without stopping.
Okay. Well, this is going to certainly mix things up, Scotty, going into the final hour here, buddy. Who's your money on?
Just having a quick look. Richard Mayer's just gotten a speeding and pit lane penalty. So he's actually going to come back in and serve that one straight away and go the tail end of the field. Alright, so Bobby Camo, just getting an update on him. After that one, I mean, his day was already done. And for Bobby, unfortunately, it's going to be a disqualification because he pressed the tow button without permission to do so. So, day will be done.
Yeah.
So, unaccorded period here. And wave bys will commence. So all those drivers who were off the lead lap will this time go back to the lead lap. Mike Foster, chief amongst those.
Yeah. Bobby Camo, unfortunately, has been disqualified. So there we go for Bobby. And unfortunately for him, he's going to have to try and come back on next time out, Scotty, I think, on that one.
Yeah. Worthwhile noting, it's probably worthwhile talking about the points. So it's actually really interesting. So Trent Allen actually leads the way in terms of points, but hasn't won a race yet. He finished second last time out in race number 3. But race number 3, because we're on race number 4 here tonight of 7. But yeah, he hasn't won a race yet. His best result, second. So it'd be interesting to just sort of keep an eye on how that one progresses, because the championship lead isn't all that much. We're at Monza here for round 3. No, sorry, I've grabbed the wrong calendar. I'm looking at the Open Series. Don't forget the Open Series coming up next Saturday night for their next race. Oh, it is Monza. It is round number 3. Remainder of the calendar. Yeah, Nürburgring is race number 4, which will be on April 20 for the limited series. So that will be the Sunday night of the Easter long weekend. Nürburgring's the next time, so that's in 2 weeks' time. Mugello on May 18th, Spa on June 15th, and finishing up the first half of the year at Suzuka on June the 29th. So it's realistically, it's all the big GP tracks to start. It's the big famous international tracks really to kickstart the year.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see how they can get on. I think the mix of tracks is going to be very interesting as well here. I think, Scotty, it's going to give them lots of variation to play with, because the schedule's on the screen. We've got Nerbs, then we've got Mugello, Spa, Suzuka. They're all different. That's the thing. And as you say, Monza next time out for the Open Series on the 13th of April.
I think we'll be going green at the end of this lap.
Yeah, pace car lights have stopped flashing. So they should be, as you say, going green this time around. There you go, there's confirmation. Bobby Comeau towing without permission for disqualification.
Righto, so we will be back to green flag racing. Now, the big key is the change up at the front end of the field. Top 7 drivers did not pit under that caution period. We are just over an hour to go. So critically, well, actually, I'll tell you what, it's actually going to be really tight. I don't think it's a one-stopper for the guys that are at the front. I think they may have to, well, it's going to be tight. We'll see. We will see. Someone got a good run. Adam Burhop was the driver that actually got a great launch, who poked out of line. And the reason for that, teammates for Trent Allen. So Trent would have given him a lovely countdown to try and get his restart done. Harry Inwood's going to cover him to the inside of the road. He'll go to the outside, but he's missed his braking marker. Does he pull it up? Yes, he does. Just.
Yeah, more action in behind. Mason again looking at making a move as well. Kurt Chapman, Isaac Curtis. Chapman was very tentative going into that corner. He did not want to get hurt up. Mellis is trying to go free wide. He's on the inside line. Oh, contact on the way out. But I think everybody makes it through cleanly, Scotty, including Trent Allen, our leader.
And now he will try and set sail. I'm just watching on board. Remember, Owen Coleman's the first. He was leading the race previously, and I think he's got cold tyres on because he had a little bit of a snap out of the oversteer as he come out the other side. Now it's going to be a little bit of a mistake from Mason, who's going to be put on the outside here. Sorry, Isaac Norman was on the outside. No, sorry, my apologies. It was James Mason on the outside in the Acura. And Isaac Norman's Acura will go slicing on the inside. So Mason, the cork and the bowl. Now they're in the grass once again. The driver that's in the grass is Rick Provenzali. It's 3 wide on the run. Up to the Ascari chicane, off the Lesmos. Adam Birdhop did not get good drive. Provenzali still trying to pull the car up. They'll enter 2 wide. They'll bounce over the sausage curbs. Hang on to it if you can. Birdhop will swing wide. Does Provenzali get the run out the other side? No, he doesn't. Piper picks up a host of spots.
Piper moves himself up into 4th there. But Provenzali was, well, he was very utilised to say that he was grass cutting. Let's put it that way on the outside, running up into the Ascari there. He nearly ended up copping a load of grass, but that was the problem. Coleman now on the inside of Provenzali, running down his start-finish line. Provenzali's going to get a little bit of draft from Burhop. If he sits in, he doesn't. He decides to go defensive. Is Coleman going to look at trying to go up the inside into the first corner here? No. Settles back down. Provenzali should be able to get on the brakes. Oh, without contact. Just, yeah, just about.
And you know what? The amount of grass and gravel that's been flung around tonight, are we sure that we're broadcasting GT3s? Because this has got a flavour of rallycross about it.
Yeah. A little bit. There's a couple of people been out on the grass, and there's more to come as well.
James Mason's going to try and go around the outside once again on Isaac Norman. So those two laps in a row, and Norman finds himself elbowed off the road. Now that's going to present the opportunity for Greentree to slide back down the inside, and does so.
Yeah, and that's a lead in obviously for Saxon, tucked him right behind at the same time, but you can see Norman still side by side here. Oh, we haven't seen this work yet. Somebody ends up coming in, no, 2x2, yeah.
And Andrew Dutch is going to roll up to them, take a look at the chaos and say, no thank you, boys. I'll spectate, shall I? As he backs out just a little bit, 2x2, oh. Big wreck! And Coleman, I think, has been turned around. He has been.
Provenzali and Coleman there. Oh, that is hard to see. I don't know if we're going to see it here. I might have to do this. Oh, Provenzali bumped the sausage curb and then bumped himself into Coleman, and that's put him right the way down the order. Both men are 34th and 35th place now after that one. But Trent Allen has got Jake Slade tucked in behind him.
And they're going to try and race it all back out once again as they try and slot themselves back in. But for the meantime, Trent Allen is leading the way. Can Jake Slade do anything about it, or is this going to be teammates trying to assist each other onwards? Harry Inwood's dropped a fair way back off of them at the moment.
I think for me, they would work together. Work together, escape up the road. That's what I would be looking at if I was these guys. Work together and trying to leave that gap to Inwood, Piper, Burhop all behind and make it as big as possible. I wouldn't fight if there's no need to fight. But I must give Greentree a shout out, mate. He's sitting 7th in overall and leading the challengers as Mason's just gone off the side of the circuit in front of us.
And around in the background goes one of the Mercedes. That wasn't Greg Heaney, was it? It was indeed Greg Heaney.
Whoa. I think there was more involved with that.
No, over the sausage curb once again. Same mistake.
They can take it, but it's got to be taken properly. It's like millimeters difference. I think that's the thing. There's like a millimeter of difference.
You can only float the left side tyres over it. You can't have it over the centre.
That's what I mean. You can't. That's what I said. You can't literally be full bore over it. You can just sort of, just about, if you can, centralise it and get it done. But we'll see how they go. These guys go.
Andrew Dutch has now got damage on the front of the car that he didn't have a couple laps ago.
Oh, this will give us to see what he does here. The Dan Piper.
Is it patience, or is it pressing on? And by the way, 4 manufacturers inside the top 4 again. They're just different manufacturers. I think Adam Burhop's just gone around it out of the Ascari chicane. Indeed he has, and he's missing a rear wing. And that was more sausage curbs, but it was different ones in the Ascari chicane this time.
Yeah, Burhop there, unfortunately, dropping down the order.
His car is toast.
Whoa, that was the inside sausage curb. He hadn't even got to the outside one. Wow. That's unusual on the inside, considering everything else has been on the outside one. To get it, to basically go over it, literally on the entry. Oh, and he goes again.
I can tell you the left rear tyre is no longer attached to that car, which we can't see from that angle. He's actually just gone around on live pictures, entering Parabolica. He's waiting for a hole in traffic to try and get his way through.
No, I'm not quite sure what he's going to be able to do there. He's just got to try and, if he's going to try and get it back to pit lane, try and get it back. But it's going to be very, very difficult indeed for him. We go into the last 53 minutes.
Yep, beyond the hour now. And the critical time stamp that we're looking for is about 36 minutes from home. So 17 or so minutes from now will get you home.
And who's going to be able to make it and who's not going to be able to make it, do you think?
Well, remember how we were talking about all the drivers that didn't pit under that last yellow flag period? I don't think they're going to get as far as they need to. Which means they will have another splash and dash, which means them not pitting under the yellow flag and the caution has not worked out for them.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close, I think. Very, very close. Considering we've got two Revolution e-racing boys at the front, they're not really opening up the gap. It's still about 2.3 seconds over Inwood. It was out at 2.5, but he's clearly brought it down a little bit here. But Dutch with Norman, with Greentree, all sitting in that front pack, and behind that is Saxon. He's chasing down Trent Stapleton, who joined the series this week, I believe.
So, update as well, Jeremy Greentree is now the lead driver on... Oh!
All day. Now, was there a pinch at the beginning? Saxon goes in. Did he leave room? He thought he was clear. Turns across his nose.
Oh, he hasn't left room.
No.
He hasn't left room to the left-hand side there.
No, he did not.
That'll be the critical factor.
However, that Mustang has got damage on the left, front left. You can see more of the tyre than we should be able to. And now we've got Greentree in here with Norman. And they're continuing the fight as well with Dutch in the old Mustang in behind them. Not much racing room give there for poor Ricky. Greg, he bounced the sausage curb, unfortunately, and bounced into Owen Coleman. Yes, I agree, he could have been a little bit further to the right, but Provenzali did hit the sausage curb.
Yeah, Rick, the damning shot was the overhead one that shot him from left to right, and Coleman left him enough room.
Yeah.
Either way, Andrew Dutch starting to roam up on the back of these guys. By the way, this is the battle for the effective race lead. These three cars, these two cars. Jeremy Greentree and Andrew Dutch are the lead drivers to have made the second stop. The difference, though, is that Jeremy Greentree stopped at the end of lap 28 and Andrew Dutch at the end of lap 27. The Dutch dived into the pit lane right as that safety car was called because he was far enough back, and then he had to go racing around and catch up. That will have burned probably a touch too much fuel. That, for me, puts him in a world of hurt in terms of fuel. He may be okay. The fact that none of these guys are fuel saving at all, though, that kind of says to me that they all should be able to get home.
Yeah, we're going to find out. We will find out. And seeing what goes on with these guys and whether or not they're all going to be able to make it. As you say, is it going to be Dutch? Is it going to be Greentree? Well, time will tell. But Trent Allen at the moment with Slade up front. Gaps coming down. Inwood is pulling gaps down on them. On both of them. Been quicker over the last 5 laps there, Scotty. Bar lap 34. And he has brought that 2.5 second gap down to about 2.1. So Inwood and Piper are doing what seems to be a little bit of a better job than Slade and Allen in front of them.
Yeah, but they've got to run. They've got to run as far as they possibly can to try and allow for that extra pit stop. bunch of guys here who are going to finish on the podium tonight that would have been sitting there at the start.
That'd be why. Look, they're not
Yep.
escaping each other.
Is this fuel saving? Because Trent's backed a long way off to pick up Jake.
But they just lost a
I
second.
I reckon they think so. That'll be to do with a slowdown penalty then.
Well, he's even got.
Well, have a look at Trent. Trent rolled out of the throttle.
But all of this is bringing inward in.
Well, there's an issue. There's an issue for Richard Mayer. No, maybe it's not Richard Mayer. There was a car just stopped. It would be Josh. No, Stefan Mellis.
Coleman just jumped straight back to pit lane as well.
Yeah, he's done.
Richard Mayer did have a crash.
There's a driver missing. Somebody's having large internet issues, and Richard Mayer goes across the grass there and catches it. But there was an additional driver.
Isaac Curtis coming in with maths. Cars who box should need to pit again based on maths. On his maths, apparently.
Well, don't say maths.
Maths.
The grand finale of Married at First Sight, which is colloquially known as Maths, is actually on TV tonight.
Yeah, I've heard that there's an Australian version. I don't watch it. It's
I
shocking.
thought it was started in Australia and then you Brits picked it up. So.
Oh, I don't. Do you know what, Scotty? I don't care. It's rubbish. I don't watch it. It's shocking. When the wife says I'm sitting down watching it, I go, okay, cool. I'm going to go and, I don't know, shoot people on Call of Duty or something. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, don't sit and watch it. It's rubbish.
Even better, I have an update for you. It's not Australian. It's not British. It actually originated in Denmark.
Oh, well, there you go.
And then we've both copied it.
It's got to be an American one. Either way, it's a shocking program. Absolutely shocking. Who goes into a TV program and goes, yeah, I'm going to go and marry somebody I've never met? What a load of rubbish. Anyway, back to the racing before I get distracted by telling you how bad I do not like that program. Here as well, Dutch climbing over Green Tree. Green Tree there with Isaac Norman. And then behind that, we've got the Saxon Coates battle with Nomerson just in there. Kurt Chapman coming in behind as well. These guys fighting for that final podium in the Challengers.
This will be an important one. And he's going to get to the inside as Jamie Saxon, but does he complete the pass when they get out the other side of turn one? Will be the big key. And Jimmy Middleton's actually starting to become a little bit of a cork in the bottle for Chris Ruddle and Jesse McMenamin as well, which is the next little bit. So for Saxon, doesn't quite get the job done.
No, it's not at the moment. He is, however, making Coates think about this really hard. Because Chapman's coming in behind him. Oh, what has gone on there? Somebody is over. Who is that in front of him?
Something, yeah, you're right. I just heard somebody touch grass.
Was that Brooke?
Don't know, but Jimmy Middleton actually failed to pull the car up at the second chicane and took to the runoff area.
Hold on, Tarantino's having a bit of a moment. What's going on here with Kurt Norenson then? There's Foz passing Jimmy, so he clearly gets it wrong. There you go. Comes back on cleanly and works and waits. But clearly there was more involved in that than what we could see.
Anyway, driving has gone on, and now Jimmy Middleton will sink through the back end of that one. I can guarantee you after the race he'll be giggling the fact that that was all caught live on you. Yes, it was indeed, Jimmy. But I'm just curious about this battle back up at the point. So Isaac Norman's gotten through on both Andrew Dutch and Jeremy Greentree, but we've got right now. We've got a Challenger driver sitting on the effective overall podium. And we're 10 minutes away from being in the window. We're less than 10 minutes away from being in the pit window. And there's a bunch of cars. Remember, there was about 7 cars that were at the point. We're down to 2 that are yet to pit. Actually, Trent Allen and Jake Slade have both bailed on that strategy. Daniel Piper is the only one that's left on the strategy of not pitting.
They're all the way down in 25th and 26th place now, with 43 minutes to go.
They're not making it on fuel either, so they're going to have to stop again, which means they're going to pop out effectively where they are.
Yeah. But that leaves Dutch, Norman and Piper at the front. Greentree, the one who's out of sync is Piper at the moment. He pitted back on lap 20. Dutch, Norman, Greentree and Latella all pitted on 27, 28 respectively. So did Butler, so did Brooke. So this is really going to mix up how far they're going to go and who's going to be able to go where.
Well, for now, look at how far Piper's actually going into the race. Everyone else has already abandoned the strategy, and he's still going on.
Maybe Piper knows something that we don't know.
He's gone a long, long way on that one. Very curious to see how this works out.
Maybe he was fuel saving and he's going to be able to go further than we think. Scotty, that's the thing, isn't it? Without being in the car with the guy, we ain't going to really know what he's going to get himself into or up to or how it's going to work. But Piper, and we'll find out how far he can actually go.
He's just picked off Darryl O'Sullivan's the lap car that he's just gone around there. And the 77. Taking a quick look, we'll get some updates for you coming your way from race control as well.
Saxon, Chapman there. Piper has peeled into pit lane. 41 minutes. Whether or not he's still going to be able to get to the end on that, I don't think he will. But for him, he's gone into pit lane. That's going to free Dutch up to take the lead. Isaac Norman in behind and Jeremy Greentree in behind that. 10-second time penalty for Owen Coleman. Contact on lap 32 for him. I don't think that's going to matter because he's out at the moment, so he's going to cop the time penalty anyway, but it doesn't really matter. Chapman, however, Coates and Saxon here fighting out for the challengers.
So we're just entering this phase of the race where everything's just sort of slowing up at the meantime, and the field's starting to spread out yet again. And the critical thing is we've got to get to 36 minutes to go. 5-second time penalty as well for Matt Webber. Contact also on lap 32, so there's quite a kerfuffle going on just after the restart. And there was another one. I'm just waiting for an update on race control. I know they just called something in. I think it's going into the server here in just a minute.
Well, it's battle of the pit stops now. They're coming into the last 40 minutes. Who's got enough fuel? Who hasn't? 10-second time penalty. Chris Ruddle for contact on lap 38. So unfortunately for Chris, he has got a 10-second time penalty.
Righto, I think that might bring us up to date with the penalties that we're looking at. But there's also one to have a look at with Brad Coates and Dan Magri, which is down the line as well, which is probably the one that took Magri out. Magri's actually gotten back out on track, I believe. Sorry, it wasn't Magri, it was Carrick, Matt Carrick, that's been impacted a few times with big incidents off Ascari. But Trent Allen's got a lot of work to do at the moment. And Daniel Piper's popped out just in behind them. So this is this big group of drivers that are on that fuel save strategy. Then we pop forward to Kurt Chapman, who's going to try and have a crack at Brad Coates on the run to turn 1. Right, so I think the field has now been cleansed of that fuel strategy business. Oh no, there's a big incident in the chicane. Darrell O'Sullivan's gone around.
All on his own.
Yeah, but keep with this. Stay with it, because your race leader's just about to come through the shot. There he is. And then stay with it a little while longer, because there's another one. And there was a hole to feed in just behind that car, and why he picked up the throttle, that's not okay. So anyway, that's going to be looked at. Anyway, on with the show. In the meantime, that battle for the lead. So Norman's got a job to do. Can he run down Andrew Dutch, or has Dutchy managed to be in the right place at the right time?
Well, let's see how it goes up the front. Jeremy Greentree, Isaac Norman, Andrew Dutch. Is it going to be a Challenger overall winner? Or is it not going to be a Challenger overall winner? Well, we can tell you further down in the Challengers, Kurt Chapman, Brad Coates and Jamie Saxon are still fighting out for the final podium spot. Ben Brooks has kind of got a little bit of no man's land going on. He's got currently 6 seconds behind and about 5 seconds in front. So at the moment, Brook is looking comfortable. Greentree is looking comfortable for the Challenger win if he stays where he is, but it's going to be that final third place. Coates, Chapman, Saxon. Who's going to take it here is going to be the question.
And this is important because we're starting to get deeper into that race, and a little bit of track position will be really, really important. They're also tracking down the 77 machine of Darrell O'Sullivan after his moment a couple laps ago. So that's the lap traffic just ahead of this car. Meantime, doing okay. Flash of the lights. O'Sullivan's gonna be awkwardly in the way. No, gets out of the way. Actually does a reasonable job in the end. But Brad Coates will feel he's probably been balked a little bit, and Kurt Chapman's gonna take the opportunity to get side by side yet again.
And then they're going to get it down into Curva Parabolica. Chapman on the right, Coates on the left, Saxon in behind. These three guys still fighting out for that third place overall here. Let's see how they get on. Chapman there sitting in that prime spot. Is he going to pull out at the moment? Time will tell. Currently he has. Is Coates going to give him room down into turn number 1? At the moment it is Chapman on the right, Coates on the left, going down into the turn. Are they going to make it through?
Oh,
no!
Yeah, they will make contact.
And he squeezed him going in there.
Well, that'll be the difference. Is it squeeze at the apex, or how's that one played itself out?
Chapman's alongside, and Coates squeezes him in.
Yeah, he does have room. Yeah. Will be viewed. Whatever. Let's race control be having a look for sure. Well, we're inside the pit window now to make it home. The big question is who's been saving, who's been burning the juice. They can pit any time from right now. Who's got tyres left underneath them at the moment as well?
Well, we are going to find out. Nobody's obviously taken anything other than dries because we've not had rain here today, which is great for us. However, it's probably great for them as well because a lot of people are probably in and around positions where they shouldn't be, I would have thought. I don't expect we would have thought as he goes up the inside. Chapman there as well, Saxon alongside him, and it's going to be this run down into turn number 1 again.
Well, drops back in behind, but now that is the spot picked up for Kurt Chapman. Run in turn 1. Last of the late breakers, moves outside, and I think we're about to get something that might just change the script because car 77, O'Sullivan, was having issues. He's now parked up in the second chicane where these guys are headed. Race control looking at the moment. Letting cars go, letting cars go.
No, here he is. That was carrying too much speed going into the chicane. And unfortunately, he has gone round. It does look like Coburn may have also had an incident with Piper. They're coming down into turn number 1. I'm hoping they've just checked up. We will find out there as well. Or are we going to find out there's going to be dramatics? Nope, they have just checked up on that one. Welcome in, Cher. Thank you so much for joining us. Sullivan's has been given the right to tow. I don't see the pace car, so I'm going to presume there was no pace car. But Andrew Dutch leading the way, but it's Isaac Norman, Greentree, Latella and Butler in behind him.
Yep, so here comes the first of the pit stops as a few of the drivers start to make that dive onto the lane. Alfonso Latella in, race leader. Dutch is going to dive to the lane as well. But remember, critically, these guys have ticked off their fuel mileage now. So this should just be an out-and-out sprint to the end of the race. Isaac Norman inherits the race lead. Did he take too much of that inside curb at turn 1? Is there a slowdown penalty? I thought he would have been on the limit. Gets away with one.
There as well, goes through. You can see Latella, Coates, Dutch, Withers all in pit lane. That's about the right time. This is where they needed to get to. And the interesting thing is, where is Piper going to come out in all of this? Don't forget, Piper pitted back on lap 41. He's a little bit out of sync with 40 minutes to go here. So it's going to find out where Piper ends up going and how much further he can go and where is he going to go and does he need a splash and dash at the end? So there we go. We're going to find out and see how they get on. But yeah, action still plenty coming, and some of it in that Challenger cast with Greentree at the moment sitting in second place overall.
To keep an eye on where Dutch popped out. Popped out 16th, right in behind Josh Swain and James Mason, which means he's in a touch of traffic. So this is going to be a strong section. I bet the field, probably the bulk of the field, probably in this time by.
Well, not for Norman, not for Greentree, not for Butler. What about Brooke? Is he going to go and dive himself into pit lane? Yes, he does. Chapman, is he going to go in at the same time? Yep. Nope. Yep. Nope. I think there was a dummy NASCAR throw there from Chapman, as Saxon also did not go in. So Brooke, McMinimum and Benici all in pit lane. Chapman has not carried on at the moment, with Saxon in behind. And at the moment, the interesting thing for me is, if you look at this, if there's ever been a driver who has done more, and then whether or not he's actually done overtakes on track or whether or not it's just been incidents, Jesse Butler up 41 places. That is literally driver of the day, insane gains through a race here.
He's probably going to lose one spot, but yeah, on the standings. So proving he can go from last to first, and then probably a manufacturer that's a little bit off the pace this time out, the Porsche as well. Some of the Porsche doesn't do well. It's the high speed tracks whereby straight line speed is important. So that adds a little bit of extra value to the drive he's performed here today.
Yeah, but he's done a great job gaining that many positions. Saxon still with Chapman. So these guys continue to fight for that second and third in the Challenger class. Chapman at the moment sitting in that prime spot for the second place. Saxon in behind him. These guys have been back and forwards pretty much the whole race. And if somebody had said we would have had 3 challengers on the podium at the challengers in the top 5 before the race started, we would have called you nuts.
Well, front 3 are in. They're all diving to the lane. So how far can everyone else go? Kurt Chapman's going to be the next car. And given they're coming off Parabolica on the right, Chapman's going to go another lap. No, he's not.
No, none of
They're
them do.
all on the way in. JB Saxon just about pulls it up before he makes contact with the rear bumper. Where's Mayor? Does Mayor go on? Mayor does go on. But remember, he was one of the drivers who went long on that first run. A little bit of clear air. Will it work for him? Piper is going to cut through. This is where you're going to see the effective fuel strategy get shuffled again. But there's a few drivers in this mix that are going to be out of sequence.
Yeah, Piper's there. Inwards in front. He didn't quite clear him. It's going to be a race on pit lane between Green Tree at the moment. Chapman and Saxon, they're going to be racing off pit lane as well. And Chapman is on his bike. He does come out still in front of Saxon. So Saxon's still got it all to do again for that second and third part. And just to throw people into the mix, Ben Brooks has just chucked himself into second place in the Challenger class there as well. So Brooke up 13, sitting there as well. Butler now up 35 places after losing places in the pit lane strategy. 27 minutes to go. This is all going to be funky.
Jeremy Greentree's dropped a lot of them in the pit lane. Jeremy Greentree's back to being the effective race leader again.
Well, depending obviously what happens in and around with everybody else. We think they've got to pit.
No. They've all pit. So that everyone ahead of Greentree has to pit. 100%. Everyone ahead of him is nowhere near making it home. They all have to pit. No ifs, no buts, no coconuts. Have to pit. Not even close. And the problem is the pace they're running won't get them home. You need to run 2 seconds a lap slow. And that'll just allow them to get run down.
Mayor's in. Blade and Allen, they're carrying on, but Mayor is in. What about Inwood? He carries on. Piper carries on. So it is on what Greentree's going to do. But Dutch has got Norman. And Butler tucked in right behind. There's a couple of battles down here with Nathaniel Coburn. He's having a nice little battle in that Lamborghini. He's got Matt Webber and Burhop in front of him. They've been having a nice little ding-dong. And our very own Mr. Middleton has got Brad Coates tucked up behind him. That's 6th and 7th in challenges at the moment as the front guys settle down here. So we'll give a bit of love to the guys in the middle of the pack. But Mayer losing all the positions, coming out in 11th in the end, just in front of these two.
Don't forget that Andrew Dutch probably should have popped out with the race lead, but remember, he got caught up in traffic for those couple of laps there, so that actually probably has cost him a fair bit of track position. Now he's going to have to earn it back on track.
Yeah. Find out how further they can go. Is Jimmy going to be able to stay in front of Coates? Well, we saw Coates battling away earlier on for the front podium of the challengers. Unfortunately for him, he's not quite getting there at the moment. Saxon in 4th. He's got Magri sitting in front of him in that Ferrari, but he has got Richard Mayer in behind. Again, different class of battles. Whether or not he's going to fight, whether or not he's not going to fight, that's only time will tell on that one. But at the moment, Jeremy Greentree, as you say, looks like he might be sitting in that prime spot when Slade, Allen, Inwood and Piper all go into pit lane there, Scotty.
So rejoin from Darryl O'Sullivan. Update on that one. That was a 5-second time penalty. That was the rejoin right in front of race leader Andrew Dutch. And I believe there's more just come through. As well. Just listening into some calls coming through from race control. So update for Greg Goodfellow as well. 10-second time penalty to be added to his post-race time. The contact on lap 48. So it's all starting to kick off, and I think the thing is everyone's got their elbows out. By the way, Dutch has just taken half a second out of Jeremy Greentrees. So this is for the effective race lead now.
Dutch tucked in behind him. Brad Coates has looked like he's had a drama. Ooh, was that Middleton involved in that? Jimmy's giving him a little bit of a squeeze. More of a squeeze. A lot more of a squeeze. And Coates, oh, I think just about checks up, just about makes it through. So for Brad Coates, but it was a little bit of a squeeze from Jimmy Middleton there that caused that one. Saxon still in the pack with Magri and Mayer, as these guys are off through coming into Lesmo 2. But at the moment, Slade, Allen and Piper with Inwood, who we believe they've all got a pit still, are sitting in that top spot. So we'll find out what Jeremy Greentree's is going to be able to do. Can he hold Dutch back though, Scotty? Or is it he ain't going to be fighting that much because he's a different class altogether?
Therein lies the intriguing part of the race that we've got in front of us. By the way, 31 cars still on the lead lap. Mark Foster's off the lead lap. I think something's happened to Foster because he spent 4 minutes in the pit lane. Currently, O'Sullivan's at 3 laps down. Greg Goodfellow's at 5 laps down. So 34 cars still running. There is a host of retirements tonight. Rick Provenzali, 13 laps down. Owen Coleman's also done for the day. Nick Bottrell, Brant Johnson, Bobby Camo, Isaac Curtis, Ben Jeffrey, Matt Carrick, Leith McClimate, Jaden Wilcox. Leaves us with, I believe, 9 retirements so far today.
Yeah, they are unfortunately at the bottom, but, well, we knew that was coming. That Monza was always going to bring retirements. It's just how many are we going to have and how much they're going to survive. That's the question. And at the moment, Greentree is surviving, but he has got looming Dutch right in behind him in that Mustang. Then Isaac Norman in the Acura, Butler as well. As I say, different classes, but not until he gets back to Benjamin Brook is he going to have second place, and that's 12 seconds back at the moment. Is it worth Greentree not fighting this? Does he want to go for the overall? Does he want to make a name for himself? How's it all going to work for Greentree though, Scotty? That's the problem. What does he do? Does he sit back and let these guys go because he's quicker and he can sit on the back of them without any problem? Or does he want to run that whole driver selfish streak and go for the winner for himself overall?
He's going to have a crack?
Yeah, well, one man that is having a crack is Harry Inwood, has just cleared Piper. So Inwood just got the run down into the Parabolica, and Inwood has just got over the top of Piper. So that's one man that is on the move. But for Greentree, that's going to be the $1 million question.
At the moment, just watching on is everyone, and Andrew Dutch has run him down. He's dragged the pack behind him with him, and here it goes. Here is the move for the race lead on the run to the first chicane. Gets it in there. Greentree's going to get tagged.
That was Norman. Whoa.
That was Darryl O'Sullivan sympathy spinning. He's still got the lead over Ben Brooks by 3.5 seconds. So, challenger class lead still in his favour.
There's the overtake. That's fine. But where was Norman coming from? That's the question. He had the opportunity though for Norman to bump him back round there, and he didn't. He drove round him. So that was very nice of him. He could have bumped him back again.
Well, it was Greentree went, okay, I'm losing the spot to Dutch. I'm going to try and slot in to second. And he just missed the gap.
And then Norman comes and sends it on him and hits him. So, yeah, but he's still leading the Challenger class, just not going to be for the overall. That is sitting at Dutch as well. Could see that happen seconds before it did. Yeah, that's the thing as well. Norman coming like an absolute banshee on that one. But, hey, we'll see what RC says about it. Coming up a little bit later on, of course, once they've got through the list of things. I'm sure they will pick up on it and give us an update on what they are doing. Richard Mayer, however, is in a nice little battle down here with Daniel Magri and Jamie Saxon. Saxon's just got that all wrong at the moment and could be under attack from Mayer going up into the curve of Parabolica there, Scotty.
Yeah, and this will be the battle for the next little group. Who's got the speed? Richard Mayer is closing on them. 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers at the front of the field still yet to make a pit stop. So this will be inside the top 10 after those drivers jump out of the way. Although it's only 30 seconds back from the race lead, there is every opportunity that Jake Slade, Trent Allen, Harry Inwood and Daniel Piper, as Mayer is going to run to the inside, gets pinched off a little bit. Saxon weaves back to the outside to try and open up the space. But Mayer's got it done before they get through turn 1. Needs to find the drive out the other side. Does so. Job done.
Yeah. Job done for Richard Mayer. Dan Magri now going to see if he can clear Saxon as well. Middleton's in pit lane. Burhop's in pit lane. So those guys are in and settled in pit lane, but we have lost a heck of a lot of drivers with Mark Foster still in pit lane and has been for quite a while. But Slade and Allen up front.
Critical little update that's just come through from race control. I just heard it on the sim. Isaac Norman, 10-second time penalty for the contact with Jeremy Greentree. And guess what? He's not 10 seconds away. So that will... We've got to keep...
We knew that was coming, though.
Yeah.
We definitely knew that was coming. Because of the contact, he come from a long way back. So, yeah, we knew it was on its way. And that was the thing there for Isaac Norman. He come from such a long way, not anticipating what Greentree was going to do in front of him. And unfortunately goes and hits him round. So there we go for them ones. But we'll see how they all get on now. Slade and Allen going into the last 15. Pitted on lap 39. It's going to be the next couple of laps, I think, Scotty, that they're going to have to look at coming in.
Well, if we have a look at their stint length, 19 laps of the first stint. We're on lap 15 at the moment. They are only about 4 laps away. And they're going to have to do a splash for about 4 or 5 laps worth of fuel. It's the junk on the road. Just continued on all night, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's all been thrown out on them. Piper's got Inwood there as well. As I said, the racing line's going to come in, the junk's going to come back further. And unfortunately, it's just the joys of what they've got to face here as well. But Daniel Magri, Saxon, Mayer, Latella in a 4-car here going round Lesmo 2. You can see more of it spitting up on the track there. That's probably the reason why there's a lot of tyre tracks out on the exit of Lesmo 2, where there is a lot of things being brought on here. But these 4 continuing to fight, and all of them, apart from Chapman, excuse me, are in the elite class. Saxon sitting there in the challengers as well. So Saxon wants to go forward and catch Chapman for the final podium, and he's hoping Richard Mayer might be able to get him there.
We'll see for Rich. He does continue to pick off spots on his way through. Remember, he's pit 3 laps later than Alfonso Latella, who's just ahead of him, and he's going to build a run on Alfonso Latella coming off the final corner. Latella's not really got the draft of the car ahead. Let's see if the BMW of Richard Mayer's got some poke. Will he will show the nose on the run of turn 1. And he is going to outbrake him as well. Job done. So Richard Mayer picks off another spot. Now 11th on the road. And again, 4 cars ahead of him, still yet to make their final stops.
How these guys get on. And, Saxon, Latella, Nominson, unfortunately, looks like he's had a little bit of drama I do wonder whether or not he's just checked up going into turn number 1, but Allen and Slade continuing to battle it out. Inward has now got Piper nestled in right behind him. We do believe Dutch is the overall race leader due to obviously pit stop cycles, but we will find out very, very shortly whether or not these top 4 do have to go in. As I say, I think they do. And it's going to be within the next couple of laps, so we'll find out what goes on. But it looks like Nathaniel Coburn and Jimmy Middleton. I'm hoping again this could be checking up going into number 1. And it looks like it's going to be likely possible.
Well,
yep.
Jimmy might have just picked himself up a slowdown penalty right there, but has caught Nathaniel Coburn.
So there we go. But we're going to find out what Trent Allen's going to do. Whether or not he's going to get there. Is he just going to follow Slade? That's the problem at the moment. Is he just going to follow him round?
Who's going to add the most fuel at his final stop? Because remember, he dropped a long way back. Slowdown penalty's probably been a little bit cruel with Trent Allen tonight. How much fuel has he been saving behind the BMW? Was that a short shift I just heard? Sounded like it.
He's in 6th gear now, mate.
Big roll-off. Big roll-off from Trent Allen. He's not going to make it home. But he is trying to minimize that stop.
No, he's got to try and make sure he can get there and try and keep it as low as possible to minimize the gap. But the question will be is how much he's going to lose. We think he's going to lose something, but let's see how much he will actually lose here. That's going to be the question for Trent Allen. And Mr. Slade in front, and Inward and Piper. How much time are they actually going to lose? And is that going to free up Dutch to take the race win? Isaac Norman, we know he's got a 10-second penalty coming. So although he should be effectively second on the road, that will put him behind Mr. Greentree, who's still leading the challengers with Brook and Chapman. Chapman there with his own little battle of Mayer, Latella and Saxon in behind him. It's been an interesting race for Mr. Greentree. He's been up to the heights of 2nd place and probably was looking a little bit on for the overall until Dutch got him, and then Norman got him in a big way.
And the problem he's got now is that he's got to stay within touch of Isaac Norman ahead. And you know what? He is still going to hang on overall podium at the moment, because remember, you've got to add 10 seconds to Norman's post-race time. He's got about 8 seconds back from him at the moment. So he's got 2 seconds to play with. That's effectively, over the last 11 minutes, his marker that he's working on.
Yep. So let's see how Greentree can get on here, whether or not he's going to be able to jump forward, and how far will he effectively go. Can he get the Piper, Inward, Allen, Slade? That's going to be the question as these guys continue on here. And as Kurt Chapman, Richard Mayer, Latella, Saxon still fighting it out here as well. So lots of action still to take. Lots of action still to come, I'm sure. And Kurt Chapman looks like he's going to be the face of a lot of it.
Right, Richard Mayer continuing to challenge for spots. He's going to show the nose. Is he laid it off on the brakes? Well, he's certainly laid it off on the brakes. Does he pull the car up? Yes, he does. Another spot for the BMW. Kurt Chapman has issues with keeping that car out of the dust and the dirt.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up losing that position to Latella, and Latella's going to put him in the clutches of Saxon. And then Saxon's going to be in a three-way fight here. But we'll see whether or not that works for Latella. There is Saxon in behind him, as these guys are chasing him down. But it depends on how close they're going to be able to get for Saxon. He needs to kind of get Latella through Chapman to allow him to go for Chapman, or Latella's got to go and upset him in some shape or form. Top three are in. Piper carries on, but at the moment, top three are in. And is that going to release Dutch? We think it is at the moment here. And Dutch is going to go and bounce through all of them. Isaac Norman, is he going to get over as well? And Butler and Greentree, maybe? No. Greentree's got Allen, Slade and Inward. But Isaac Norman is out there very early. 10 seconds, you said. It's still 8.2 back to Green Tree.
Got to keep an eye on where Trent Allen resurfaced as well. So he's actually resurfaced just in front. Richard Mayer and Jake Slade. Remember how we were talking about the amount of fuel that those guys had saved? Well, Trent did save enough fuel, so he has popped back out inside the top 10. But Mayer is going to be right on him, and Ben Brooks is only just in front. Daniel Piper, Harry Inwood's also been in and out of the lane, so he resurfaced in 13th, and Daniel Piper has managed to go the extra lap.
Yeah, but where is he going to come out?
Daniel Piper might even go a couple extra laps here. My math has him getting to the end of lap 61, which is still 2 laps away.
Yeah.
It'll be 1 lap. Yeah, it will be 2 laps away at the end of this one.
That's going to put him... That's still going to release Dutch, and that's still going to put Norman there. But obviously Norman's going to lose 10 seconds, so it's going to put him effectively behind Butler. Should put him behind Green Tree. So at the moment, the perspective 1, 2, 3 is Dutch, Butler, Green Tree are going to be a 1, 2, 3 podium situation. And as you can see, Ben Brook behind has got a gaggle of cars coming right at him. And one of them is Trent Allen with Richard Mayer, with Slade, with Latella, with Saxon. So action still to come from this mid-pack as we go 7 minutes remaining.
The tricky part is Kurt Chapman's at the back of this, just off the back of this group. So how hard do you fight it if you're Ben Brooks? Do you know that you're sitting second on the totem pole overall? As Trent Allen's going to get to his inside. We'll get that job done. And Richard Mayer tries to sneak on in. Probably been forced a little bit offline, which was cheeky.
Yeah,
they both get through, and Trent Allen's actually managed to scoot completely and utterly free. Now to the outside as they go through Curva Grande. And the run to the second chicane. Pull it up. Yes, he does. And again, Brooks not fighting too hard, recognizing which battles are worthwhile fighting, which aren't. Mayer to 7th, by the way.
Yeah, none of these in and around him are worth fighting. Slade Latella are the next 2. He doesn't want to let Saxon get on his back end, no, because that is a battle for the overall podium in the Challengers. So for him...
By the way, battle on track is Jesse Butler and Isaac Norman. They just about went toe-to-toe through the Ascari chicane. But Jesse Butler has no idea, I reckon, with the way that he's driving, that there's a 10-second penalty coming in the way of Isaac Norman. If he did, he wouldn't be trying to fight this. Shoves the nose to the right-hand side of the track. Late block back to the left from Isaac Norman. Has he gone in a fraction deep at the Parabolica? No, gets it parked up.
Yeah, gets it stopped. I'd be a little bit intrigued about the questionable double block in there from Norman. The once to the right is fine, but then swinging it to the left right in front of him just before the braking zone, little bit too much. Isaac Curtis, we think only Piper's got to stop. He's left there out in front, but they are running side by side. Butler's trying to demand some space, not giving at all. Yeah, I think he might be a little bit aggrieved by that double move at the end.
Either way, hopefully Jesse Butler knows, because if these two had come to blows, if that's the case, he'll have no idea that he's sitting on the racetrack in a confident second place, not a scrap for it. This is comfortable. Well, he's going to make a mistake.
Surely Butler must have been told.
Well, I mean, the problem is it's in text chat. And whether or not he was, because he's been in the thick of this scrap for a long time, I just, watching him drive, he doesn't know.
I'm surprised he hasn't had somebody tell him in his ear hole that that's the situation. But
well, does he have somebody to tell him?
Well, is he sitting in a chat with somebody?
He is. Yeah, he is. He's got 3 blokes in his HCS racing chat.
Yeah, exactly. So somebody must have said he's got a 10-second time penalty. But at the same time, he wants to push on. He wants to go forward. He wants to be, whether or not he can get Dutch, that's the situation. At the moment, Norman is effectively slowing him down. So regardless, he isn't going to want to sit there and not go for the win if he's got the opportunity. Piper's just gone into pit lane. So there is Piper. So that's going to release Dutch through. There goes Dutchy. Isaac Norman's going to go through. Butler's going to go through. It's going to be close on the Green Tree situation. And Green Tree is literally only 7 seconds behind Norman.
I'll give you an update. He does have a spotter. Jesse Butler does have a spotter sitting on board with him.
Well, there you go. He's going to know, isn't he? And there's Piper. Got Green Tree in behind him. So we're going to find out how Piper's going to get up. Not, he's going to recover here.
So, actually, one thing I did just notice, big issue for Kurt Nommensen going through the second chicane. The boys that are racing together are Jesse Butler and Jeremy Greentree. They're teammates. So this fight for second on the road with Isaac Norman's got nothing to do with Jesse Butler trying to cut his way through. It's actually trying to hold him up and make him lose time back to Jeremy Greentree so they can both sit on the overall podium.
Greentree at the moment is sitting back. Where is he at the moment? He's 6 seconds behind Butler and Norman. Yeah? If Norman gets his 10 seconds, which we know is coming, it's going to promote Greentree regardless. Because Greentree's got nobody to hold him up. Where Norman's got Butler holding him up, in a way, by them continuing to fight. So it's still going to put Norman behind Greentree. It's going to be where Allen fits in and around that. Because at the moment, if Norman continues to fight, he is 13 seconds away from Trent Allen and Richard Mayer. So he's got to be careful.
But the problem, if Jesse Butler's not checking up and actually Daniel Piper's going to get to pit lane and clear his final pit stop, he resurfaces in 7th spot on the road. So he's actually done a reasonable effort going as far as he did at the end of lap 61. He came to the lane and jumped through. Richard Mayer's going to try and track down and have a crack at Trent Allen. But yeah, this is Jesse Butler trying to make sure that Jeremy Greentree is within that 10-second margin. 100% it is.
Well, we're going to find out. 1 minute 54 on the clock. The leader is Dutch. He is coming in to the left and right of the second variante, going down into Lesmo 1 and 2. You see Butler sliding, or Norman sliding that machine with Butler tucked in right behind him. 1 minute 38 on the clock. There's going to be one more lap, and then it's going to be game over. And at the moment, it's looking like Dutch, Butler, Greentree will take the 1, 2, 3 overall. Great run for the challenger of Jeremy Greentree, by the way. I've got to be honest, he's up 5 places, but not as many as Butler, who's up 41, soon to be 42 by the end of this race. So fair play to Butler. 42 places gained is incredible driving.
Got a little bit lucky in terms of the strategy, but also had to keep the car alive. And that's when luck meets a little bit of skill meets opportunity. Let's you get a finish like this. This will be one you'll remember. And again, still harassing. He's not comfortable leaving Isaac Norman alone.
No, he wants to put him under as much pressure as he possibly can. That's the thing. But all the while Norman's doing this, Greentree's still within the gap. He's 7 seconds. The guys behind, Allen, 12 seconds. So he's coming down as well with Trent Allen and Richard Mayer. So, you know, Norman's got to be a little bit smart about it, because if he loses too much time over this final lap, it's going to put him down probably 5th or 6th place.
Yeah, he can't. He's got a 2-second margin, or even less. That's probably a 1.5 second margin at the moment. Last lap time for Isaac Norman, 48.7. Last lap time for Trent Allen, 48.2. So he took half a second out of him. He's going to need to take a fair chunk more. But remember, those guys are fighting out on track as well. For Norman, he's not going to finish on the podium, but where does he finish with a post-race penalty?
Well, for him, what's he got at the moment? Trent Allen's 15 behind the leader. Norman's 3.5.
That was a huge moment for Jesse Butler, and for half a second I thought he was going to be fighting his way to the right-hand side barriers, but he survives. He'll run down the back straight away, trying to fill the mirror of Isaac Norman. Andrew Dutch is out of Ascari. He has one more corner left to navigate. for the Ford Mustang. His run of the final turn is going to be worry and drama-free. Turns it out of Parabolica, 2 hours of Monza. Andrew Dutch is wearing a battle-bruised front end of a Mustang, but it's a Mustang nonetheless. Race winner from Monza, Andrew Dutch. Norman will cross the line P2, and now we wait. Jesse Butler will cross the line in P3, promoted to P2. That much we're certain of. Jeremy Greentree 7 seconds behind Norman. Norman off the podium.
Oh, Allen chugged to the line.
Trent Allen.
He's lost a place to Piper.
He lost 2 spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a 10-second penalty will demote Isaac Norman to 4th. Richard Mann will finish 15.5 seconds off the lead, which will be 3 seconds back from Isaac Norman.
Yeah, Miller's still battling here further down with Mellis. This is 15th, 16th in class, 27th, 28th. Miller's down 10. Mellis is up 13.
Somebody else is out of fuel. Somebody else is out of fuel coming out of the chicane. There's somebody dropping. Benjamin Brook! Benjamin Brook's not going to finish on the podium in Challenger. It's not fuel, it's damage.
Nope.
And it's on his own. Last lap of the race, so he's not going to get any assistance from out of the Lesmo.
Ooh.
And he was scheduled to finish 12th on the road. 12th on the road would have been 3rd in Challenger.
Yep. Fortunately, he's all the way down in 13th in class. Still going to lose places behind that. He's trying to get it back. But at the moment, it doesn't look like it's going to be very, very successfully. And he's going to be the last one over the line with Ruddle, Miller and Mellis. Yep, he will be.
But he will continue to try to bring that home. And good news for him is he can't lose any further spots. Kurt Nommensen's about 15 or so seconds back off of him, but Nommensen finishes 1 lap down, so he is on a cool-down lap. You got a feel for him. But he did do the right thing. He just stayed out of everyone's way on that final lap as well. Oh, it's not done. Did he make the line?
No, it's just there.
A little bit further. There you go. At least he didn't run out of fuel.
Yeah. So there are the results.
Righto, race results, and this is how they crossed the line on track. Andrew Dutch from Isaac Norman, from Jesse Butler, from Jeremy Greentree. Those 3 places will be moved about. Greentree will move up 1 spot, as will Jesse Butler, and Isaac Norman home 3rd in Elite, 4th on the road. Richard Mayer gets in 5th spot, Dan Piper. Both of those guys in the extended fuel strategy, alternate strategy, so they'll take what they can get. Trent Allen home in 7th. Alfonso Latella from Jamie Saxon will pick up 2nd in the challenge class. Jake Slade home inside of the top 10. Harry Inwood went with the alternate strategy, was inside the top 10. That one did not work out for Harry Inwood. Outside the top 10, he loses a bunch of spots. Kurt Chapman had a rough buck half of the race as well outside the 10. McMenamin from Coates, Mason, Benici, Withers, Heaney, it's up 18. 19th and 20th, Jimmy Middleton home inside the top 20, although I'm noting that car is missing a rear wing at the moment on the cooldown lap. Josh Swain, Trent Stapleton, Adam Burhop, Matt Webber, Chris Ruddle, Nick Miller, Stephen Mellis, and Ben Brook, the last car home on the lead lap. Drivers 1 or more laps down. Kirk Nolanson from Dan Magri, Dale Atkins, year 3, 1 lap down. Darrell O'Sullivan will finish the race at 3 lap down. I believe Greg Goodfellow got home as well. From here on out, your retirements, count them. 1, Mark Foster. 2, Rick Provenzale. 3, Owen Coleman. Nick Bottrell. 4, Brent Johnson, Bobby Camo. 5 and 6, Isaac Curtis. 7, Ben Jeffrey. 8, Matt Carrig. Leith McClimate, Jaden Wilcox. 9 and 10 of your retirements. That is final running order. Cross to the podium, and we've got a very, very happy man. And Andrew Dutch has got a ton of time on his hands. He finally managed to make it work. He got enough practice in to keep the car pointing in the right direction this time, Dutchy.
Hello, Scotty. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, brother. Not too bad. Mate, a tough night at the office because the front end of that Mustang looked like it got parked up a few exhaust pipes. But either way, she doesn't matter. She pops out at P1 at the end.
Yeah, mate. Turn one. That's where I'll lay the blame for that. Turn one, that chicane there. Obviously, after that first safety car, it turned into pit street at Sydney again. So yeah, mate. I call this night my Stephen Bradbury moment coming from 27th to first.
Well, it gets better than that. You won't believe Jesse Butler's going to finish in P2 behind you, 44th to second. So you can call it your Stephen Bradbury, but he chases you home, mate. So was this the semi-final you did the Bradbury in? So does that mean next time out it's the final you do the Bradbury then as well to win the belt?
Mate, tonight's the best part of me going for the whole series. So I'll take this one, and mate, I'll ride off this.
Yeah, the rest of 2025 is going to be a terrible, terrible year, mate. Finally, I'll give you the shout outs. The floor is all yours to give a thank you to everyone you want to say a shout out to.
First of all, the boys at the end there, Foz, Jimmy, Coleman, coaching me through the end. I was a little bit nervous with fuel, so those boys were doing numbers for me. Obviously, all the sponsors, Rick and Jimmy for putting this show on, you guys in the broadcast booth. Thanks to everyone for such a great series.
Mate, congratulations on a race win. Go off and celebrate with the team and enjoy.
Thanks, Scotty. Have a good night, mate.
Righto, we'll take one step further down on the rostrum. Jesse Butler is going to bring it home third on the racetrack, but it will be second after a post-race penalty gets applied to Isaac Norman. Congratulations, mate. P2 overall on the night. 44th to second.
Yeah.
At the end of qualifying, you would have been sitting there and going, this is going to be a very, very long night. You didn't feel that much of a long night at the back end of that one, though.
No, it was surprising to say the least. To start P44, kind of keep my nose clean. I think that safety car definitely saved me, and my teammate Jez. It was good to get into the pits and get that short fill kind of out of the way, which gave us that kind of really good track position as well. Tell you what though, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Completely unexpected. I kind of didn't really obviously worry about anything to do with low fuel or anything like that, as I knew I wasn't going to be doing qualifying. But I just had a really strong race car, which was surprising for the port with a straight line speed. I think I ran one wing on it, and it held on pretty well. It was a good little battle with Isaac at the end there. I wasn't too fast. I didn't want to push it too hard, but I knew that he had the 10-second post-race penalty, so I knew it was still second, but it would be nice to actually get second tonight.
Mate, well, that's what we were sort of asking about. Was there any discussion? You knew that Isaac had the penalty there, and you still, the risk level. Did you back down at all? You were taking an awful lot of risks if you knew that a guy did have a post race penalty coming his way.
I knew kind of the risk versus reward kind of got through out the window a little bit, but I wasn't battling as hard as I could. If he had sent it, which he did, I kind of knew, right, I'll just back out of it and just kind of play the long game. But it was kind of also working for my teammate Jez that was behind. So if I could keep him within 10 seconds of Isaac, I knew that at least he'd join me up on the podium as well. So that worked out quite well.
So, okay, so that was going to be my next question. You're playing the team game, and yep, certainly were. All right, mate, well, congratulations on P2 here tonight. Who would you like to give a thank you and a shout out to?
Massive shout out to HTS Racing. Those boys are awesome. Jez, Jeremy Greentree, we done a bit of practice through the week and we helped each other and whatnot. And then my spotter, Justin Quinn, just a massive thank you to him with strategy calls and that. Couldn't do it without any of you blokes. So, but massive thanks to the PEL. They're running a great series here, and to you guys broadcasting, thank you.
Mate, congratulations on P2. Go off and enjoy with the team, brother.
Thanks, mate.
And finally, we're going to get the opportunity to chat to Jeremy Greentree, picking up P3 overall, and also the Challenger class win, mate. That was you were obviously managing the battle. We saw you try and dive in behind Andrew Dutch. The goal there, I'm assuming, you just thought, look, Dutch has caught me. I'm going to have to slot in behind him no matter what I have to do. But tag from Isaac Norman, you were just trying to get in behind Dutchy, weren't you?
Yeah, I just let him go. He was too quick on the straight, and I just thought I could just hold it behind him there and see what happens. But yeah, unfortunately, just got a little tap at the end. But hopefully, recover the position well.
Mate, in terms of the night, not a bad night. Obviously, qualified with reasonable pace up and inside the top 10 in terms of outright speed. So overall, that McLaren was quite well hooked up around the Temple of Speed.
Yeah, it felt really comfortable around the track. It probably just lacked a little top end, but it definitely made up for it around the corners and slow section.
In terms of things, big result in terms of the point scoring at the moment. Just having a quick look at the Challenger leaderboard. You were sitting second behind Harry Inwood. Harry finished outside the top 10 here tonight, so that's going to take it. You guys are going to finish a lot closer together heading into the next round.
Yeah, it's been a good battle between probably the top 5 for the last 3 races. So looking forward to what the rest of the season brings for us all.
Mate, finally, floor is all yours to give a shout out and thank you to anyone that you would like to.
Yeah, just a shout out to a fellow that helps us with spotting, Justin Quinny. Really helped us tonight, just spotting different things on the track and definitely looking at fuel strategy too through slow sections, which was great.
Mate, congratulations on the result. Go off and enjoy it with the team.
Thank you.
And finally, that is going to wrap things up here from the Premier Endurance League. All things in the books. Temple of Speed created great racing. A lot of overtaking up and down the field, but that's also the width of the track sort of playing into things. Round 3 at Monza in the books, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll be joining you next weekend for the next round of the Open Series as well. JP, any final thoughts as we're heading off to the sunset after 2 hours around Monza?
I mean, you can safely say gainers win, as big old gainers from a lot of people throughout this race. Should be a good one next time out at the Nürburgring. Looking forward to that. Right. Scott, are you still there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Sorry. Yeah, Monza's going to be... Monza's, I think, gainers all the time. I think that's what the thing is. Gainers have come out on top on this one because there's a lot of places gained throughout this. So we'll see what happens next time out.
That's it, ladies and gents. We'll join you all next weekend for the next round of the Open Series. Bye for now, not forever, and we'll see you very shortly.